have a special guest with me. I'm excited. So hang tight, and I will introduce my guest to you. There we go. I revealed my guest too quickly. Hi, Zach.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
So we have
So
coffee.
exciting. It was my first sip. He said I normally like to sip right at the beginning, but I'll have to do a little introduction first. So I appreciate the
Yeah.
the
So
change up.
what's it like? How bad is it?
It's so good.
Is it $7 a cup? We're good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We went to coffee last week and it's like $7, and then if you like, I think the starting price is like $6, and then if you tip it's like $7, and then it's like,
Yeah, I came away with feeling like I'd spent $10.
yeah, it's pretty close to 10, and then like, I don't know, I sometimes get seltzers there because they're
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
dollar, but they're not flavored, so then they're just
Yeah.
seltzer water. But anyway, this is a $10,
Okay.
10 out of 10 stars.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I actually, so the mugs, we just chose 2 mugs that fit for the machine down there, out there.
Yes.
But
But I
It's-
love these Starbucks mugs.
so we've been drinking coffee together. Well, we started a meeting.
We're longtime coffee buddies. That's
Yes,
true.
yes. And actually, my coffee machine I have right now, I got from Zach because
Zach's family. Zach's
Oh.
parents.
you brought it to the house.
Okay.
So it's a good story. It's worth talking about. So this was,
He
I
did
think-
scream this by me.
yeah, it has so 2015-ish, we started meeting
Yeah.
all the time, almost weekly.
Yeah, it was about weekly for
2015,
like a year and a
2016.
half. Almost 2 years.
Well, it
I
went
don't know.
several years. We were
Yeah.
meeting all the time, and so I'm not sure when exactly this was, but my
Well, I mean, it was Christmas.
it was
I don't know
around
which
Christmas. I don't know which Christmas. And this is what I remember is you left a coat at our house.
Yep, that
So-
sounds right. Probably gonna do that today. It's too warm.
Yeah. And so then Stacy and I were somewhere north, and we thought we'll drop it off at the Miller's house on the way back. And so I grabbed the coat. We've had it in the car, and it was 10:30, 11 o'clock. I don't know. It was late.
Wait, you were driving it back to me?
Yeah, we're gonna drop it at your house.
Okay.
On our way home.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like because we live down in Wheat Ridge at the time, you were in
Sounds about
Arvada,
right. And then
and so then I get to the house, and like I'm expecting the house to be like dark and almost nighttime.
not in 2016. We were
No.
living it up.
No, but it wasn't even like that. Like the garage door was open.
Yeah.
And everybody was out and they were working on their car. And so I'm
We're
like,
not car people in my family.
and I am a car person. So I always,
And I knew that.
if someone's working on cars, I'm like, what's going on? How can I help?
This is where the gaslighting begins from my family.
And so like no one's telling the exact full story.
They were trying to
They were
protect
trying to be
me.
kind to you. But so tell us what happened because
Well, we were out looking at Christmas lights that night, and we had been looking at lights in Denver, and the Capitol always has their big display, the Denver Capitol, and they have their big light with Jesus and with Santa
The
on the other
nativity?
side. Yes.
with Santa.
And they so we were there, and my dad's parallel parking. I don't remember. We all got in a big fight, which is not unusual. We're yellers, we're loud people. And we ended up,
So there's family friction.
it was family, yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. So it's family
An
friction.
intense moment of fellowship.
And I'm always the provoker
Okay.
of the other people,
Okay.
which is, I know, equally as wrong, but I'm never the one who's getting all heated, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I ended up being that person in this fight. And I would say if I could remember, I don't remember what this fight was about, honestly.
Right.
And so anyway, I end up slamming the door closed and breaking it off the hinges.
So well, what it was,
and it had also dented, I
it's that
think.
sliding door on the side of
Yes,
like a
on the
minivan,
van.
and so it hopped off the end of the truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, see, not a car person,
So
person.
so I am. So it's 10:30 at night. The boys are kind of asleep in the car. we're just
they were
they
you
were-
had
they were-
littles.
yeah. And so we were all in the car, and so we're headed.
You're
and-
like just gonna throw this coat away.
And so I'm like, Stacy, they're having a car problem, and I'd like to help them. And she's like, well, how long will it take? I'm like, I have no idea, actually.
I hope it didn't take long.
And so I had my tools in the back of the car because what I had to do was take the bracket off, put it back on the track, and then put the bracket back on. And so that was what I decided we had to do. So we did that, got the car back on.
How long did it
opened.
take ish?
I don't know. It felt like 15 minutes, 20
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah.
Not super long. And so
Long for a coat drop off though. That's like
yeah, long for a coat drop off with children in the back that Stacy's like, I gotta get
Yeah,
these kids in bed.
it's cold. Yeah.
But that was what happened. And then the next, whenever you used to come over, it felt like you came on the same day a lot, like Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah,
or
we
something.
did. I don't remember. I think it was probably Tuesdays.
Yeah, something like that. And so he comes walking up the stairs with a big box present. It was a nicely wrapped.
Yeah,
present.
yeah. My family loves wrapping gifts. They're
Yeah.
very good at it.
And so I open it, and it's a coffee machine. And so I think it was 2016, but it was the DeLonghi. I don't even know how to say that name. DeLonghi.
Oh,
It's that.
is there an H?
There is an H.
Delani. Let's look it up.
Okay, so first, this is what I'm looking for. DeLonghi espresso machine.
Delani espresso machine.
So shopping or images. Yeah, so let's share that. So here's the one we're talking about right here. No, it's not. Yeah, it is.
It's similar to
Yeah,
that.
no, that's pretty much the one. So this is the one at Best Buy, but now I need to know how to actually say it still. So,
Well,
it's
I
like
think I've always heard Delani,
DeLonghi.
but I definitely could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, Okay. Well, here's what we'll do. We will take us, and we will see if I can do this. I'm gonna put us above that,
Oh wow,
and then I'm gonna make
this
us
is live.
tiny,
Wow,
so that we can watch.
I'm
And then I'm
very
gonna
impressed.
Then I'm gonna come back over here and say DeLonghi pronunciation. Pronunciate. I don't even know how to. Okay, pronunciation. All right. That didn't help me. Oops. Ooh. So
Del
I have to.
Delaney.
So
Do you think they can hear it?
Let's see. Desktop audio is turned off. Let's turn it on here. Okay. So here it is.
DeLonghi.
DeLonghi.
Okay. Okay. DeLonghi. Something like that.
Yes.
All right. So anyhow, this is a long story for
For how you got, but you do mug stories and coffee stories.
Yes. And so that's what this was.
It's like a twist on
Yes.
that,
Yeah. So I this is my coffee machine story.
Coffee machine story. I like that.
And so
Cheers.
then, I made the coffee for Zach this morning on the machine that I got because
Because I slammed the door closed.
yes, which if you think about it, your Moses thing that you mentioned.
Yeah,
earlier,
when he was screening this story by me, I said I've always felt like Moses I always felt bad for Moses because he had one act of rage and then
Yep.
he wasn't allowed to go to the promised land,
Yep.
and that is how I felt that night. I was like, my family, everybody's slamming doors closed all the time, and I have one rage act, and this is, of
And-
course,
and
the
then-
door that busts and explodes apart on us.
and then I show up,
and then you, my mentor, shows up at the time.
What happened,
And-
Zach?
Yeah, and I was like, so embarrassing.
Ah.
But now
Yeah.
6 years later, I guess we can.
It's fun, and we're still
laugh about it now.
Yeah. So the thing with Moses was like, God gave him the opportunity to make a beautiful illustration by speaking to the rock the second time. So it's supposed to be a picture of Christ struck once, crucified once, and ever since then the church just speaks to him. We don't actually strike him and crucify him again. So that's the picture that he messes up. So have you heard?
He
this before?
wasn't. Did he hit it twice?
So the first time he was supposed to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
Second time, God says, talk to the rock. But he's upset with all the people around him, and he just hits it
Oh.
twice. Like 2 times at once.
So he messed up the.
He was supposed to just speak to it, so it like messes up.
I never knew that.
Because in Hebrews
Yeah.
or Corinthians, one of the places, I think it might be Corinthians 10, it literally says the rock in the wilderness was Jesus. And like it connects this picture. And so he
and it brings forth the water. And
And so
it works,
so
yeah.
he messed up the illustration. And so in his case, God was trying to tell a story, and then
I
he
was
messed
like,
it up.
dang it! I had
And
this
so-
whole thing planned
And
out.
so then
Moses.
for you, you actually helped me tell a story. So
Okay, good. I fulfilled this analogy.
so it's the opposite.
Oh.
So anyway, we were both looking at filmmaking. I was doing Breaking the Silence at the time when we were meeting at first, and you were making these little animations. What's that little one with the fish?
That was Epic Tales.
Yes,
And
Epic
then
Tales.
that I was taking to festivals at the time. And then I was working on some stuff in high school, like the ukulele thing, and some other animations. And I was thinking about this today, and it was so difficult to do back then.
Yeah,
Even like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And now it's so much easier. Our phones, you can like cut someone out with your phone just by tapping them. Like, you can select text.
Yeah.
Now you can select a person. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I just found that out
Well,
yesterday.
someone was just showing it to me on Sunday. They were like, "Look at what you can do."
Yeah.
Now they did.
That
do
took
it
me forever.
on a person with a. I know. I'm over there making little keyframes.
Keyframing it and cutting them out and adding the
like, oh,
filter.
man,
now
I
you can
cut
just
it
do it on
with- yeah.
Snapchat with a
Yep.
filter. It's crazy.
Crazy.
But I was doing a lot of animation at the time.
Yeah.
And that was what I was working on. I was in high school and graduating, and we were meeting a lot, and
Yeah.
we had started some projects together, and you were working on Breaking the Silence, and we're doing some
Yeah.
editing, and yeah.
Yeah, and we have like, we were, I was trying to figure out, which I'm still trying to figure this out, Zach, is how do you, like, for me to be involved in film and actually make it pay, but then to, like, hire other people like you throughout the year, and not just, like, I understand how to hire someone
For a film.
for a film,
Right.
like, during the actual film shoot
Well, that makes
for
sense.
production. But, like, how to have a film company that creates work for each other throughout the year. And I still don't quite understand that. I've made.
I mean, I think that's how a lot of work is. It's like flex work and online
Yeah.
gigs and stuff. I don't know that
well, and
that working for a company is that common anymore.
Yeah.
Especially for creatives. Like, that was obviously going to be the first to not be that format.
yeah,
But I think, like, I don't know. I know like 4 friends that have full-time jobs, and everyone else is a barista here and does this
yeah,
here and
yeah.
does
Well, I am a
creative work
pastor
here.
and a filmmaker, so
Yeah.
it's I'm still
right.
bivocational, which by calling though I want it to be. So
Right.
But so back then we had a thing with we were talking about what you were going to do because you were a filmmaker, you wanted to, and you would animate that thing you made with the you just told me what it's called.
The shark?
The shark.
The Epic Tales?
Yeah, Epic Tales. Epic Tales.
I
So-
was thinking big back then because, tails could be any animal.
Yes.
That has
yes,
a tail.
Yes.
So
Well, yeah. So
it
like,
did remain to just be fish,
but it
but still.
it inspired Peter. Like he made his own Peter and Toby story that he started back then, and he finished this summer. So it took him a long time, but he finished it. Got his brother's voices
Now he's
in
gonna
there.
put
and
in
other things.
the circuit for the festival.
I don't know. I need to talk with him because I don't know if he feels that it's strong enough for that. But I just remember when we were judging one of the festivals, and that's actually how I saw it. Like I hadn't seen your work until it
that's
came
funny.
through the pipeline, and
didn't know
so
that.
like I had all the little animated things, and so the boys watched this with us, and so they were like, "That is so cool." And so at the end of the festival run, we usually delete all the files that they send us, but I took Epic Tales and I put it on in their folder. And so for like the next several years, whenever we would watch movies that were too scary, they would watch something that had a bunch of little short films in it, including Epic Tales.
Yes, I made it in the playlist.
So they loved it.
I love it.
I was actually wondering, like, dude, where is it? Because I know I had it somewhere.
I mean, that was a part of a TV program, almost like an educational experience for me, where it was
Yeah.
like they taught you how to like create and work in your
Okay.
gift, and then they filmed it all, and it was like this reality show.
Yeah.
There were 6 of us, so
Oh yes, it was part of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
So I learned how to do that there.
Yeah.
So it's probably on that channel. Is what I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah.
That's probably where you could.
Speaking of
I'll
channels,
find it.
you have one channel that I found, and then you
Yes,
have more.
and then my
channels.
secret channel that the people who helped me work on it can't even find. I had to send it to them this week. Got to get our SEO up on that one.
Let's see.
I
How
was
do
like, are you
I?
kidding?
Okay, I know how I can do this. So first, I'm going to do this.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna bring it down just a little
you're a pro.
tinier. All right, here
So I
we
can
go.
look at it.
Now we can go like this. Yeah, it's right below you there.
Perfect.
So that's the sweet life of Zach and Kristen. And that
Yes.
link is actually in the
He's
the
a pro.
description. That the link for this one is in the description. But there's
The
another
reason
one.
you can't hire anyone is because you can do everything. So that's your problem. You're so good.
Well,
I'm very
I know.
impressed right now. We got live. We got this below. We got the link in the description.
Yeah. So, but there was the other channel was the late night.
Yes, late night chat with Zach.
Is that what it's called?
So this is my channel with my fiance.
Can I
We've
just
been
find
going
it?
with that one
Late-
for a couple of years.
So the current one.
Yes. So I both of these are ongoing.
Yeah. Okay.
Late night chat with Zach.
with. I meant it's current as in what they're looking at on the screen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Late night with Zach. Let's see what happens.
Well, I've got some dead ones. Dang it.
There's a lot of other
It's
Zach
Obama.
here.
No.
No. What's
Thanks,
going
Obama.
on?
Where? Yeah, we got to get our SEO up on this. Are you
Okay.
kidding? I'm only seeing it because it's my channel. I bet.
What? But how do I
Search channels.
do that?
Oh, search late night chat. Try adding.
Late night chat. Late night chat with Zach.
Boom. That it's
There,
that easy.
here we are.
And we
Okay.
hit 150.
You have to
subs.
say the actual words. Late night chat.
The exact
with
words
Zach.
in the perfect order, and then I will appear as
Yes.
a second.
So this one here.
So that's a channel promoting content creators, Christian content creators with
There. I'll
their stories. Let's
there we
see.
go. I will just do
Oh,
this.
perfect.
And it'll go out that way. Okay, so I also added that to the comment section. So anyway, these are Zach's channels. And then, of course, we've been drinking lots of coffee together for a long time. So here we are drinking our coffee and talking. But we've actually been meeting recently because back then you were trying to figure out,
A lot.
and part of it was what to do with school. And so I just
True.
remember at the time, well, actually, what did I tell you at the time? Because I think I remember what my counsel was. What do you think my counsel? What do you remember?
I think I had found a way to do college pretty inexpensively where I could pay cash as I went and get pretty much all of it done debt free. And you basically said go for it. You were like, it wouldn't hurt to have the business degree so you can back your art with your business. And that stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I wanted to start this big thing, and part of it was this channel and all these other ideas creatively. And you said that God's importance doesn't always mean urgency, and that stuck with me. You were like, you can go
Okay.
to school and do that. And then I rushed through school and got done with school, and then COVID hit like the same week I was like
Okay.
finishing my last class.
Wow.
And we were locked in our houses, and I was like, wow, I rushed out of school just to be locked at home for a year.
Oh my! So okay, so the part that I remember is you were talking about whether to go to film school or some kind
Oh
of
yeah,
arts school,
or yeah.
and I said you're always going to be creative, no matter what else you do. You're always going to be creative, and you're going to figure that part out. But you might not figure out the business part unless you try on purpose to do that.
Mm.
So my memory was I was pushing hard towards a business degree versus an arts
Yes.
degree. That's what I remember.
I do remember that now. I
Yeah.
forgot I was considering, but I totally was considering film school.
Just because you
Art
have
school.
definite talent that direction and you have interest that way.
Okay.
So-
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well,
and
I
so
definitely did
so,
that.
but, so here's what happened. So I said,
no, I'm a businessman.
so here goes Zach from I'm going to be a filmmaker. Then he's doing business school, and so then next thing I know, it pops up on my social media that Zach is a realtor and is selling houses.
That did happen. Whoopsies. Whoops.
So-
yeah, that's true.
But the YouTube channel is ongoing. Your interest in
The
film
YouTube
is
channel
ongoing.
is going, and then was it? I don't know if it was you or the Bible Project that pointed out the scripture that a clean or a man with no ox has a clean stable.
Yeah, I
And
think
so. To
I think
me,
the old King James version is like
yeah.
where no oxen are. The well, what is the word for that it uses in the King James? The stall is clean, or
the stall, yeah.
something is clean. Anyway, so but the idea is that there's no that your
Real estate's like my ox, and
Yeah.
sometimes I have to clean up after it, and it's not always like my passion.
Right.
But also, there's so many things that I've found in it that I'm passionate about, like helping people,
Yeah.
connecting with people.
that's good.
Even just the flexible hours are great.
But it's worked. You've actually
But it is work, yeah, and it's not as creative in
Mm-hmm.
in an artistic sense as other.
but you now see the sense in which it could actually pay for the creative side of things.
Exactly, yeah. So that's
Because
what,
you've had some success with it. You've actually sold
so it's
houses.
been a good couple of years.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you got in at a good time, and I'm like, Well, it was just a crazy time. Doesn't mean it was intrinsically great.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years
Yeah.
for real estate.
So we hadn't met for a little while, and so then earlier this year, you reached out like, "Hey, we should meet again."
Yeah,
And
we
talked.
saw each other at a wedding.
Yes, yes, that's right. It was.
And
We're
I
like,
was like,
we haven't actually
we
talked
got
in
to
like
connect.
months.
yeah, it had been months. And so I
So
was like,
we got
Let's get
together
coffee.
and started. I guess we went to several different. Well, the part about it that's like completely no one else probably cares, but that I thought was so hilarious is we went to Old Town Arvada and met at Hunter Bay Coffee.
mm-hmm.
And so the first day we meet, and Zach, you came walking in from one direction, I came walking in from the other direction.
yeah.
And so then I'm like, "Where did you park?" And you said, "Oh, this parking lot by the library." Is that what you call
Yeah,
it?
it was like the street parking
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, I always park over on the west side because it's the only parking
Old
lot I
Town's
know."
very hard to drive around too.
Yeah.
Because they've blocked off half the streets.
Yes.
It's almost like a one-way through
Yeah.
the town.
Yeah.
Just to get through it.
Yeah. And so I have
hard
for
to find
years,
parking.
I only park in one spot because it's the only one I can find. And it's a little parking lot on the west side. And so you said, "Oh, I always park over there."
Yeah, over there in the parking lot. And then you pointed out where you parked. And I've never even looked that far in Old
Right.
Town.
Right.
Because that's like banks and stuff over there. The
Yeah,
shops
I don't know,
and
it's
like
something-
coffees
yeah,
are all
so-
over here.
So the next week we meet again, and we come walking up from opposite directions because
And I
we
had
both.
stolen your spot.
And I had gone to your spot because I had never tried. I was like, "Hey, let's should try this." So you might say we're influential to each other.
And then the next week we stuck with the stolen spots. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We like converted each other. Just the opposite
But we were
side.
still opposite sides of town. So, but I thought that was interesting how that actually happens in life a lot. Is where you ask someone their counsel or direction, like what would you do, and then you share ideas, and next thing you know, you're actually doing the thing that the other person did, but they're no longer doing it because they're now doing either what you told them or what someone else told them. So
That's interesting.
anyhow,
Lesson in there.
so you're doing real estate now. I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm a pastor and a filmmaker, and then in our conversations, we were trying to figure out how in the world. Well, one of the big dreams you had back then, 3-4 years ago,
Yes.
was to. Well, you had been to film festivals and stuff, and I think the project that you worked on that you made the Epic Tales for was having trouble finding distribution.
Yeah, yeah. So I saw that problem, and I've always wanted to make a sitcom and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and just shows and films might be a little easier to distribute because there's a lot of avenues for that. But
Right.
specifically with TV, I was like, there's nowhere to put the show if I put it
Yeah.
somewhere. Animation, if you make this thing, and so I just didn't know how to distribute it or where it would go, or where people would see it.
Yeah.
And new networks wouldn't pick it up. There were a lot less streaming services. Even in 2015, there were a
Yeah.
lot less
Yeah.
streaming services. So I was like, what do I do? And so
So you've done a lot of work toward figuring out how to run a streaming platform for other
Yeah.
people.
yeah, I had. And then I hired a lawyer when I finished. So then I went to school for that because you were
Right.
like,
Business.
don't rush this. So I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get the business down.
Yeah.
And then gotta be a big business. And then finished school and I like hired a lawyer right out of college, and I had hardly any money, but I paid every penny to this lawyer. I don't know if I
Okay.
told you this story.
But I've
To-
heard parts of it. so-
To incorporate and write up all of the documents to make a business for this YouTube channel and it's owned by the holding company for this like streaming service I've wanted to put
Okay.
on forever. That's
Yeah.
been long time goal. You're probably one of the first people in the world to hear.
Yeah, and so now I'm sharing it out here, and we don't even have an announcement to be like, here's
No,
this
we
video."
really don't. I'm
We're just-
pitching it to some creators today.
Yeah.
though.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We're just talking because like
This is where we are.
yeah, like I'm working on what films to work on next and trying to figure out how to get things funded, and he's working on how to. But eventually,
Figure all that out.
But eventually, you want like a sitcom type situation where
Yeah, I just think making people laugh is one of the best ways to get to their heart and
Yeah.
have them open up and really hear from you is laughter. Because I'll watch things that I completely, politically, whatever, disagree with
yeah,
because it's funny.
okay,
But, that I think is a really good
So-
way to like get to, hearing people or having
reminds
people
me
hear
of-
about Jesus.
yeah. It reminds me of something that I heard about the people said about the British, and it had to do with like you could be as mean and nasty as possible as long as you said it in a funny way with a British accent.
With the accent. That's funny. I haven't heard that.
And then people
Write
would
that
give you a
down.
pass.
British
because-
character on sitcom one
And
day.
he can say whatever mean, nasty thing he wants to, but as
Perfect.
long as it's kind of funny and British, he's good.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely say mean things funny sometimes. It's something
Yeah.
I'm trying to do less.
Yeah, well, it's a problem because it actually does cut into relationships in the wrong way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I can see the humor is an excellent thing. What's interesting for me is when I try to put humor in, like when we made Indescribable, I wanted real meaning and I wanted some humor, and I felt like I got more of the meaning and not enough of the humor. And so then when we went to We Three Kings, I was like, we're gonna do as much humor as possible. So I'm putting humor in, and when we took it to the audiences, they did laugh at the right places. They laughed at a few places I wasn't quite expecting it either. But then I hadn't gone as deep. Stacy had basically requested that we not make people cry, like we did in
It's
the
a Christmas
first
movie. Yeah, yeah.
Don't make people cry, and we had the death of the mother to deal with, and so that there was plenty of room to
right.
make people cry,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't. And so now I'm left wondering, like, was it as strong? Like, if I
Should
would have
I
made, should I have made him cry?
Just
Then
go all Pixar on
like,
him. Just
laugh, cry, like the whole roller coaster? Should
yeah.
we? So
Well, that's what the next film's for. Probably less
Yeah.
laughter in the next one.
we'll see. I've been working on, well, the lumberjack one. It has some pretty good laughter things in it.
Mm-hmm.
Also some serious
I
life.
haven't seen the script yet.
Yeah, it's around here somewhere. Somewhere in this room.
It's a mystery.
So we both have our different projects that we're working on, and what I like about what we've had to do is I feel like both of us are more on the creative side to start with, and we've had to work to be on the business legal.
And sometimes it's
side.
easier for me to think of what someone else should do.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's creative thinking.
Like I'm like, oh, your solution's right here. I
Yes.
mean, obviously you probably would have thought of that, but then like it's really nice to have others. Like I always love bouncing ideas off people.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes the idea is, well, as a creative, and especially if you're trying to be used, but for the kingdom, you're trying to be involved with discipleship in some way, somehow be presenting Christ.
Yeah.
And so then you're looking at media, and so you're not just doing it all for what works for you. You have to do something with purpose, and so that's the hard bit sometimes, is how to actually
Yeah.
bring that in. But so these are the kind of conversation I feel like we have a lot, is how to do that, but then also to recognize that like your gifts are different than my gifts, and like I think humor, the way you do humor is probably going to be like I do a coffee talk where I come and I talk to you guys for 30 minutes very seriously about whatever. Sometimes we laugh, but like
Sometimes you laugh, sometimes you cry.
yeah. Well, I noticed when I was with Joe Kime, we laughed the whole time, and yet we were very serious. So
Interesting.
so different people, different things. But like I feel like your way of doing a show is going to be different than mine because of just who we are.
Yeah.
But at the same
I
time,
think I
we
overthink my
need
comedy
that.
bits. I'm transitioning into doing more long form now.
Okay.
I was writing my plans the other day of like long form content and strategies
Yeah,
because
yeah.
YouTube's about to start prioritizing long form content and podcasts and these longer conversations.
Because
so-
they're getting so many of them, and they're moving.
and they're restructuring, yeah.
well, they're moving over to stories. So you have stories now.
Right, so they're doing the two extremes.
Yes.
Is what I just heard.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
A debrief on.
But those are the kind of things that we would look at. Like you'd bring big spreadsheets, even back in 2015.
I
You'd
do
be-
love a good PowerPoint.
You'd be like,
That's my
here's
thing.
here are all the platforms, and here's what they do.
Oh yes.
And then you had like highlighted the
There were
ones.
less then. It was a
There were
little
less,
easier.
but you had them, and then you were like, these are the ones you could get Christian content on, maybe, and these ones for sure not. And like,
yeah.
because I was looking at places even then.
For
What did I want to do? Oh, I was trying to
breaking
release.
into silence.
I was trying to release Breaking the
Yeah,
Silence, and there were so many of the platforms, Christian platforms, that when I would finally get to the information about how to submit content to them, they literally said don't. Like,
And like it's so stuff like that is so fatiguing. Like it
Well,
sounds easy probably to
yeah.
viewers, but like that's hard work you put into
right.
like
Well,
doing
so
that.
I just remember
Oh,
one.
you
It was
just feel broken by
it
the
was
end of
like
filling all
it was
this
like
out.
Uplift TV or something, and it literally said, if you submit something unsolicited, then we own it and we can do with it whatever we want, and we'll probably throw it in the trash can. Like, but don't like
Sheesh.
like it was, and I'm like, this is
taking you down.
so I'm like, this is supposed to be a really an uplifting Christian show, right? They're
Yeah.
supposed to have content, but they don't want just anybody sending them stuff in, which
guess.
I understand. If you're really being bombarded with lots of content,
Are they?
I don't know. I've never been in their shoes.
If they are, then what they're picking is probably they need new screeners.
Yeah, well, but so what they want to do is they want to say, hey, we're going to make this project, we're going to do this project. And
Yeah.
so, which comes back to what you would end up doing with the distribution thing, because at some point you're like, okay, we let this guy come on with his stuff,
Influence. Yeah.
and it was negative overall. I got bad feedback, I got criticism, and so after a while you're like, okay, nothing like this, nothing like that, just that, and you'd have rules eventually based on how it went. So
Yeah. Right.
anyhow,
Company values.
Yeah.
things, Guidance. Yeah.
so
So next time I'll have a product to, to put out there.
yeah. So anyway,
It's coming along.
it's been so these are the kind of conversations we've had a lot about just what do we do, how do we do it, and then Zach is funding his with real estate. My early years I funded with construction
And chalk.
and well, the chalk, it was almost like a complete shifting. Like
Oh.
I did 12 years of chalk, and then I switched over to film and construction, and then became a pastor, and then I slowly weaned myself off of construction.
Okay. Okay.
And so then now, since
Which is a great feeling that I'm
I
sure you've
think-
talked about in one of the 129.
yeah, well, oh, and also today's your birthday.
Yes.
Today's Zach's birthday, so I should have had Peter here with his animation.
It's so
for
meta
birthday
because
stuff.
like I remember the conversation we talked about earlier was on my birthday, so it's like,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
full circle today.
Yeah, so many
6 years
birthdays.
later.
So, where was I headed just then?
Construction. I said.
Oh yeah, so
you
I was
transitioned out
really
of that.
tri-vocational, and so it's been since 2018 when we released Breaking the Silence, somewhere around there, that through various things I've not had to do construction or any other work. I've just done film and the pastoral ministry.
That's really cool.
It's been a huge blessing, because that is still a lot. Like, because if I'm working on more than one project at a time,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then church
Let's
things.
do this show.
Yeah, but this was Stacy finally gave in because she was like, you seem to want
Hey,
to.
then.
Well, she was like, Joseph, you have so many things to do, and I'm like, I know, but I have. It's like, you know that scripture where it talks about his the fire was burning in his bones while he slept, and like he cannot keep silent anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so what Coffee Talk is for me is that like release of extra steam,
Yeah.
so that on Sundays I can stay with the messages I'm supposed to give and not like go on all these bunny trails. So this is just a relief system for me to
Right.
share some extra stuff. And
Because you gotta feel like you're shooting your shot out there in the world, you know?
well, I just love this. And so, but now, I mean, even the sermons are on YouTube too now, because of, since we've been filming for live stream, they get
Yeah.
put over in the Living Water Fellowship channel.
That's perfect.
And so you can watch those too. But so anyhow, the morphing, because we went to a bunch of film festivals together. We've met a lot. We're in the same
And
community.
then I texted you this year, and neither of us were at the film.
Yeah, neither one
festivals.
of us went to the film festival.
And we were both like, "Man, we better make it a great week for us to excuse ourselves
I was
from this."
trying to like make it be very productive that week. I'm not sure if I was.
But next time,
Next
I'm
time.
trying to talk him into it.
Well, they've asked Stacy to come and speak, and so I'm like, we've got to go do this. But the HSE theater is like the week before,
Oh, I keep forgetting about that.
and she's directing that.
It's not Tech Week. It's the week before Tech Week.
So first performance is so the second performance weekend would be the weekend. It would end. We would play on Saturday night, and then Monday the Filmmakers Guild starts.
Okay.
So it's like a really tight turnaround.
Yeah.
And it's at Sherwood, and we want to go. So we're hoping to go,
Quickly.
but we'll see how it all works out. So, yeah. Well, so
Yeah. I love
what
our
have you?
conversations.
What have you have anything that you've learned that you want to share at this point? We're getting, well, actually, we're past my 30 minutes.
I know. I've been kind of keeping my eye on it. I was like, oh no.
Here we go.
We did it. New longest episode.
No.
No.
I think I made that with some doctoral dissertation.
Perfect. This is just as
This is just
just as educational, I'm sure.
so.
Anything I've learned
Well, what do you want to share?
over what period of time or subject matter? It's not a huge, broad amount of things I've learned either. We don't have to narrow in too much.
Well, so like one of the things I've learned about you is that like even when I made the opening title for this, I said coffee with Zach with an exclamation point, because I always think of you with that Exclamation point. That's the way you live your
That's
life.
good. I worry that I'm gonna become a boring person all the time, and
Not yet.
well, that's good. Even on this birthday, I'm like, I'm 24. I'm probably boring now, and so I appreciate your explanation point.
Doug
yeah,
from Pennsylvania says, "Happy birthday."
Thanks, Doug. That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love your live stream. I love
Yeah.
the show.
Well, thank you for coming and joining with me today. Then.
Yes, thank you for having me. I will update you on when I have more updates on that streaming service, and then we can go from there. But thanks
Yeah.
for plugging my stuff too.
Yeah, well, and we might get together and chat again. Today was just good enough to have the story about how I got my coffee machine. And
Yes.
Happy birthday, and well, I will see you guys.
And the
next
coffee
week.
grinder.
Yeah, the coffee grinder. I almost forgot this.
Gonna make this
Last week. Look at this. I just got this in the mail. I talked about coffee grinders. This is a burr grinder. I don't even know how to say this name either, Krups. But like, it just came in Amazon. It said, the little note on it said something like, keep up the coffee talks from a fellow coffee lover. So somebody out there, thank you.
What if it was me and I was like, surprise? No, it's not.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But so we actually ground the coffee in that coffee grinder and made it in your coffee machine, and we drank it and
here.
talked here. So yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. I almost forgot.
My last
so
sip.
thank you for the coffee grinder. I don't know who you are, but
Fantastic, best fan ever.
the
out there.
person either had to like do sleuthing and find my address to ship it here, or else they know me,
It could be that.
and I'm not sure which it is. So yeah.
Nonetheless.
Thank you. I'm grateful. All right, so now I'll see you next week. Blessings.